Oh yes, yeah. The head of the Austin Motor Company, and we were using his engine, transmission, rear axle. When he first saw the car, he said, "You can never make that. You'll never make it. You know, you'll have too many orders," which they were. People were all there. He said, "I'll make the car." So Healy said, "Well, yes, but as long as you don't change anything on it, just know it'll look just like that." And it did. Well, it didn't quite, but only it looked exactly like it, except for your small instrument panel. Well, that was chrome, but it had satin chrome stripes across it, just to make it a bit more like a piece of jewellery. So these satin chrome stripes across it, then that's the only thing that was different. When it came out, that was plain chrome, I think, or silver. But otherwise, it's just the same. Or the headlamps had to be lifted because they didn't meet the American standards, or, you know, there are standards there. I can't remember whether I did it to the British standard height or the American standard. Whichever it was wrong. Or wasn't wrong, it was done to the information we had. Then from there, everything went fine. He thought that we were losing sales because people said, "Well, I'd buy one, but I can't get my kids in the back." He said, "I can't get my kids in it." So he said, "See if you put 2 inches in the wheelbase, see if you can get 2 kids in it." So I made up a little cardboard mannequins, had guys in the shop measure their kids, you know, for joints, and made the little cardboard mannequin, put 2 inches in the wheelbase, and put this mannequin in behind, and drew it and showed him, and you could sit little kids in there, up to about 10 or something. So he said, "Oh, that's good enough." So they made it. That's how that got there. Well, while I was doing the Sprite, Don comes in one day. Now, it's stupid, really. He can't stand the other front I did, and he wants me to go out to Jensen's and change the front they're doing because it's such a mess. So he comes in and says, "Gerry," he said, "you get out to Jensen's as soon as you can." He said, they're really messing up the front of the car." Well, I'd never seen the car or anything. He says, "Whatever you do something with it, but you can't change any sheet metal." So I go up there and see their chief designer, Eric Neal, which is a bit embarrassing, really, to say, "You screwed up with the front end, I've come out to put you right." You can't say that, but that's what it was. So I went out and saw Eric Neal. I said, "Don doesn't like the front, so I've come to see if I can do something he might like." Well, for the front, if you know what an Austin A40 convertible looks like, it's got no... it's an oval in the front with a metal wrapped over, and the grille sits behind the sheet metal. You know, the front of the car's like this, and the grille's behind the sheet metal like that. And it looked to me as though somebody pushed the front in. Well, they can't change the sheet metal, so what I did was bring the grille from there like that, and then put this chrome top over it. That's how the chrome top got there. So that's what I did with that. That was it. And I put the chrome thing round the snout opening on top, and that was it. The grille was wrong for it. It was like an Austin Westminster grille with wavy horizontal lines, which for a Healy were into vertical lines. So why would I care? You know, they're already screwing it up. So it didn't occur to me to say, you know, the grille's all wrong as well. And now I thought back, I'd like to have said that, but I never thought of it. I thought, well, I've got him out of that mess. He's got the wrong. It wasn't until after I thought they're using the wrong grill texture, but still. So there we are. So that was it. Well, that was the last thing I had to do with the big Healys. we used to get a car occasionally, and my wife and I, and being in England, it'd be raining like hell, and we used to put raincoats on backwards, plastic, so that the water dripped in our laps and ran off with the top and the side curtains
That's
up.
the truth. That is the truth.
It's all the truth.
That's funny.
She's sitting there saying it's a load of BS he's telling you, but that is actually
No,
true.
that is the truth. I know, because personally,
You know, this plastic raincoat and your sleeves in here, and
So you've got some miles in the Healy underneath you too, then?
yes.
That's funny.
they presented me with that last night. That's the Sprite prototype I did, but the Sprite that came out had these huge headlamps on. Well, Bill Mead, he's the originator of the 100M Club, figured that they should have done what I wanted, you see, and they didn't. And he thinks the thing's so awful with these headlamps. So he had this model made of how it would look if it had been done to the original with the retracting lamps. None. None. No. I've had Porsche, Aston Martin. We've got an S-type Jaguar at the moment, so no. I've driven plenty. We spent our Healy money on a Jaguar. That's the way, because it's, you know, it doesn't leak and it's got air conditioning and so on. So. Well, they're simple, aren't they? I mean, there's proven engine and everything else, as long as they're looked after. Well, they were used in taxi cabs, tractors, things like that. We felt that if it looks right, it is right. Which usually is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did this Bonneville car, the first one with the... You've seen pictures of the first one with the fin on it? He wanted a... he thought, I think I'm going to try for some Bonneville records. So see what you can come up with for a shape. So I came up with this shape. And nothing to do with the car as it was, just a same wheelbase, but a shape that I thought was right for 200 miles an hour. Made a clay model, took it to Armstrong Whitworth Aircraft, which was near Coventry where we lived, and they wind tunnel tested it. They had all the information from Jeff Healy for horsepower and stuff like that, and said yes, it would do 200 miles an hour with the power they were giving it. Fine, so I'll get the clay model back, and then Don said, no, I can't make it, they won't spend the money on it. So he said, to get a regular 100 and change it, see what you can do with the shape. So I shaped the front and the rear, and looked a bit bare to me. So I said, it looks a bit bare. Do you mind if I put a dorsal fin on the back, small one, that jazz it up a bit? And he said, yeah, okay. So the dorsal fin does nothing, but it sure as hell makes the car look good. So those sort of things, and little things like that that big companies don't do. It's going to be sprayed silver blue with a crimson stripe on the side, which I go down and put the tape on the car and say to the painter, there it is, fill it up with red. And that's how that gets there. All these little things make it interesting. The Americans wanted to two-tone the car. Now, we in England, we weren't into two-toning, them flamboyant stuff. So, I mean, I took the sideline to the wheel opening, and that's it. How you don't jump across a gap and put another line on there. It goes there, but they wanted to two-tone it, and they had no guide to follow the paint line. So that was why that was put in. If they said to me, do you want a car? I'd say, well, it's got to be the same as the one that was on display in London that was successful, and that's ice blue. So that's the original colour of the car, was ice blue with a dark blue interior.
Oh, interesting.
So that's the really, to me, the original colour, and you know what made it successful. But there are a lot of other nice combinations. It could be green and white, or it could be a fantastic colour combination. And no, I don't have a favourite one. He wanted something to, like a shocker, for one of the shows, and we go through the book, and like there was yellow and black, and pink and black. Well, who'd buy a pink and black car? But people would certainly look at it, and that's about how that was done. Today's cars are all very smooth. And, you know, if you run round to the front, you can see what it is. Some don't even have a badge on the front.
Yeah.
No, they do. They're very smooth. Actually, the older cars, like the old American cars, 50s and before, they were beautiful inside. You know, fantastic, rich instrument panels, all this chrome and recessed instruments, all the interesting stuff. Now, what do you got? Dull, boring. Very nice, very nicely done, but until I got to Healy's, I'd never designed a whole car. You know, when somebody says you've never designed, it's all right sketching stuff when you're at home, and when somebody says design me a car, you think, well, where do I start with that, you know?
Yeah, really.
You think, well, I've said a bit too much and now I've got it. You always want to design a car, right, do it. And if we're lucky, we'll sell one. What we thought we might sell 2 or 3 a month. That was the hope. Now they're worth more than they were then. You know, you just do what you think I like. I do what I think I'd like, and then convince Donald Healy that this is what I think we should do. And he'd look at it and say, yeah, it looks, doesn't say it looked pretty good, he'd say, yes, all right, that's it. Well, he's not an excitable person. He looked at me once or twice and said, Gerry, you're fired. But he didn't fire me, but...
Good thing.
Yes, right. No. Well, you don't, do you? Just do your job and move on, and that's it.
I went to San Diego to talk with Gerry Coker about him designing the Austin Healey, and he corrected me with,
You're talking about styling cars.
after getting to know Mr. Coker, I left San Diego with a much better understanding about the origin of the Austin Healey style. Thank you, Gerry.